A girl walks onto a rooftop thinking she's about to get a love confession. She leaves with a permanent scar across her face. A guy bets 5,000 coins that a piece of literal garbage is worth something. He's right. The bully who laughed at him goes home broke. A solo hunter stands between a vicious blade storm and the one person who never gave up on him, and he doesn't even flinch. And a monster the entire academy couldn't handle? Our guy summons it on purpose, then dismantles it in front of everyone. Rewind. Because none of this makes sense until you understand who Su Ming actually is, and what they did to him. Picture this. The awakening ceremony at Hunter Academy. Every student steps up to the assessment pillar one by one, and the crowd watches as stars light up. 3 stars, 5 stars, 7. The more stars, the better the job class, the better your life. This is the moment that defines your entire future as a hunter, as a person, as anything at all. Su Ming steps up. The pillar flickers. 1 star. Sword controller. The crowd snickers. The bully in the back row practically cackles. Even the principal looks like he just found out the school budget is getting cut. Which, actually, it kind of is, because a 1-star student doesn't exactly bring prestige. Here's the thing though. Su Ming isn't even looking at the pillar. He's already seen how this plays out. He's lived it. See, Su Ming died. Not recently, not dramatically in some dungeon. He was murdered. After spending his entire past life grinding, bleeding, and pushing through the world's most dangerous content solo, he finally brought down the final boss, the ultimate challenge. Done. Victory. And then, right there in the boss room with the loot still glowing on the ground, his best friend Jiang Tang and his girlfriend Ren Xiaomen pulled their blades on him. Together. They killed him to steal the divine artifact he'd just earned. Not strangers, not enemies, the 2 people he trusted completely. So when Su Ming wakes up back at the start, reincarnated, memories intact, that same divine artifact somehow still in his possession, he doesn't feel grateful. He doesn't feel lucky. He feels extremely, quietly, dangerously focused. The pillar says 1-star sword controller. That's what Su Ming told it to say. Because the truth, mythical 10-star sword god, the rarest class in existence, the kind of job that doesn't even show up in official documentation, is information he isn't handing to anyone. Not yet. The skill he uses to mask his display is called sword control, and it works perfectly. Every instructor, every bully, every rich kid at this academy sees exactly what he wants them to see. A nobody. The divine artifact he carries is a talent called All Things Ascend. 1 use per item. Pointed at anything. A weapon, a chest, a piece of gear, and the quality jumps up an entire tier. Bronze becomes silver, silver becomes gold, gold becomes platinum, platinum becomes diamond. 1 use, 1 upgrade. The thing is, Su Ming has done this before. He knows exactly which items are worth burning that talent on. Right now, though, he has more immediate business. A recruiter approaches right after the ceremony. Some wealthy corporate executive type, offering Su Ming a job as a personal bodyguard. Good pay, comfortable life, stable income. Exactly the kind of offer a broke orphan with a 1-star job should jump at. Su Ming declines without blinking. He didn't come back to be someone's hired muscle. He came back to own everything. Then Yang Ding shows up. Yang Ding is the kind of bully who peaked at 16 and doesn't know it yet. Loud, well-connected through his family money, and currently very interested in making Su Ming's life miserable. He spots Su Ming browsing a shop near the academy, looking at a rack of weapons that all look pretty mediocre. Su Ming picks up a dull, slightly dinged-up stone the shopkeeper has basically shoved to the side as unsellable trash. Yang Ding loses it laughing. He calls it garbage. He says Su Ming must be broke enough to buy literal rocks now. He's grinning the whole time, and his crew is grinning with him. Su Ming activates Inside Eye. Here's what Inside Eye does. It strips away appearances and shows him the real data underneath. Stats, hidden properties, actual quality. And what it shows him about this particular garbage stone is that underneath the surface grime, it's a silver rank weapon just waiting for someone to see it. Su Ming sees it. He buys it for almost nothing. Yang Ding is still laughing, so Su Ming makes him a bet. 5,000 coins says this stone is worth something. Yang Ding, absolutely certain he's about to take free money from an idiot, agrees immediately. Su Ming activates All Things Ascend. The stone shifts in his hand. The dull surface peels away. What's underneath is a clean, sharp silver rank blade. and the look on Yang Ding's face as it materializes is genuinely priceless. Not confused. Not surprised, just completely, horribly blank, because he's doing the math, and the math says he just bet 5,000 coins against a guy who somehow turned garbage into a real weapon in real time. Yang Ding pays. He doesn't have a choice, and he walks away having learned nothing, which is going to become a recurring problem for him. But Su Ming doesn't linger on the win. There's somewhere he needs to be. Ren Xiaoman has been sending him messages. Sweet, careful, concerned-sounding messages, asking how he is, suggesting they meet up, very gently angling toward the rooftop of the Academy's East building, because apparently she has something important to tell him. In his past life, this was the beginning of everything. She played the devoted girlfriend perfectly, right up until she didn't. Su Ming goes to the rooftop. Of course he does. But not for the reason she thinks. She's already there when he arrives, and she's clearly rehearsed this. The lighting is nice, her expression is soft and warm. She starts building toward whatever speech she prepared, the kind that probably ends with her sliding close, and him lowering his guard, and her learning whatever she can about his skills and resources. She doesn't finish the speech. Su Ming moves before she gets to whatever the point was. A single, precise cut. Not lethal, not careless. Deliberate, aimed exactly where it lands, across her face, a mark she'll carry permanently. He isn't doing it out of rage. He's barely emotional about it at all. He's doing it because in his last life he let her talk, and letting her talk cost him everything. He isn't making that mistake twice. Ren Xiaoman stumbles back, shocked, hand flying to her face. She didn't see it coming. Nobody who knew the old Su Ming would see it coming. He turns and walks away. No speech, no explanation, the message is the scar. And now, with that particular thread cut clean, it's time to actually play this game. The F-grade beginner dungeon is exactly what it sounds like. A starting zone for fresh hunters to grind their first levels and get comfortable with combat. Most students treat it carefully. Su Ming treats it like a resource mine he needs to strip as fast as possible. The moment he steps inside, he activates Insight Eye and starts reading the layout. Dungeons reset annually and randomize their structure, but the monster types stay consistent. Wolves, mostly. Standard F-grade threats, manageable for a new hunter with decent instincts. Su Ming is not a new hunter with decent instincts. He's a reincarnated sword god, with 10 years of combat memory running underneath a 1-star public profile. The wolves don't last long. Sword control lets him float his blade independently, attacking from angles that make no sense for a solo fighter, cutting down packs before they can scatter or flank. He racks up kills fast, levels climbing, the system feeding him EXP notifications in a steady stream. He's not playing the dungeon, he's farming it. Then he finds the Ape King. The Ape King is a mutant variant, bigger and nastier than anything else in the F-grade dungeon, and it would normally be the kind of thing a beginner team of 5 or 6 would tackle carefully and probably still struggle with. Su Ming runs into it alone, early, while it's still fresh. He gets first blood, the system bonus for being the first hunter to damage a new dungeon's strongest enemy. The bonus EXP floods in instantly. He doesn't stick around to celebrate. He's back to farming wolves within minutes. By the time he exits the beginner dungeon, he's leveled past where most students will be at the end of their first week. But leveling isn't the only thing on his agenda. The next stop is the Red Rock Cavern. This is where job change quests happen. A special dungeon zone where hunters complete a class-specific trial and lock in their permanent profession. For most students, it's a nerve-wracking milestone. For Su Ming, it's a formality. He already knows exactly what his class is. He just needs the system to officially stamp it. He moves through the cavern fast, cutting through every obstacle the trial throws at him with the kind of calm efficiency that would make any instructor's jaw drop, if any instructor were watching. Nobody is. That's the point. The trial completes. Sword God, confirmed. Mythical tier, 10-star. The system knows the truth even if nobody else does. He's walking out of the cavern when Yang Ding appears again, this time with a small crew and a much bigger attitude. Yang Ding has apparently decided that losing 5,000 coins to Su Ming was an embarrassing fluke, and that the correct response is to come back louder. He's blocking the exit path, arms crossed, clearly expecting Su Ming to look nervous. Su Ming does not look nervous. Su Ming has just finished a job change quest at Mythical tier and is thinking about his next dungeon rotation. Yang Ding is an obstacle with legs. The confrontation goes nowhere useful for Yang Ding. Su Ming dismantles whatever intimidation attempt he's trying to run. Not with a fight, but with the specific kind of flat, unbothered energy that's worse than any insult. And Yang Ding's crew starts looking at each other sideways. Hard to look threatening when the guy you're threatening seems genuinely bored by your existence. Yang Ding retreats. Again. But he's the type who escalates rather than learns, so this definitely isn't over. Deeper in the cavern system, Su Ming picks up a distress signal. Not literally, just the sound of combat going wrong. He follows it, and finds Jiang Yunqing pinned down by a goblin trap. Goblins aren't dangerous individually, but dungeon goblins hunt in packs, and they're smart enough to set ambushes, and Jiang Yunqing walked into one while separated from any backup. Jiang Yunqing is a 7-star soul healer. In terms of raw class quality, she's exceptional. Soul healers are rare, expensive to hire, and absurdly valuable in party content. But her offensive capability alone against a coordinated goblin swarm is pretty much zero. She's holding her ground but barely. Su Ming clears the goblins in under a minute. Blade floating, sword control directing 3 attack angles simultaneously, and the ambush that had Jiang Yunqing cornered just evaporates. She's grateful, very grateful, and smart enough to recognize what she just watched, because a 1-star sword controller absolutely should not be able to do what she just witnessed. She files that observation away quietly, and she doesn't push on it. Instead, she makes a practical offer. Join her party for the dungeon run. She brings a 200% EXP buff to the group as a passive party bonus. 200%, that's not a typo. Every kill nets double the experience for everyone in her party radius. For Su Ming, who is already farming at speed, this is like strapping a rocket to a rocket. He accepts. Of course he accepts. Ji Yao is already with Jiang Yunqing's group. Seeing Ji Yao stops Su Ming in a way that almost nothing else does. In his past life, Ji Yao was the one person, the only person, who stood by him without agenda. She wasn't with him because of what he could give her. She was just there, consistently and genuinely, right up until the end when she threw herself in front of a killing blow meant for him. She died for him. He never forgot it, and he carried that weight through everything that came after. Here she is alive, starting over just like he is, as a summoner, currently very much not dead. Su Ming doesn't show much on the outside. He rarely does, but internally, her presence recalibrates something. She's someone worth actually protecting this time. Yanze rounds out the squad as their archer, reliable at range and solid in a support role during dungeon clears. The party of 4 is balanced, well buffed, and moving fast. They carve through the dungeon at a pace that would make any organized guild jealous. Jiang Yunqing's EXP multiplier turns every kill into a windfall. Ji Yao's summons handle crowd control. Yanze picks off stragglers from range, and Su Ming does everything else, which is most of the heavy lifting, which he is extremely fine with. The levels stack up fast. Su Ming watches his stats climb and does the mental math on what he'll need for the next tier of content. He's thinking 3 steps ahead while simultaneously clearing the current dungeon floor. This is just how his brain works now. Then Li Chengguang shows up, and the dungeon run becomes something else entirely. Li Chengguang is not a student at this academy. He's a 10-star blade berserker from Wuyang City, a different institution, a higher tier of competition, and the specific type of hunter who treats weaker players like loot piñatas. He's in this dungeon on a PK quest, which means he's here to hunt other hunters, specifically lower-ranked ones who can't fight back effectively. Player-killing quests exist in this world's system. They're not illegal exactly, but they're the kind of content that attracts a particular type of person. Li Chengguang is exactly that type, arrogant, well-geared, and currently targeting Ji Yao because she's the smallest threat signature in the group. He doesn't announce himself, he just attacks. A blade storm erupts from nowhere. Li Chengguang's specialty, a whirling cascade of spinning sword energy that shreds anything in its radius. It's aimed straight at Ji Yao, and the calculation is simple. A summoner dies, the party loses its crowd control, and then he picks apart whoever's left. Ji Yao sees it coming. She doesn't run. She throws herself toward the strike instead, arms out, positioning herself to absorb it, willing to eat the full hit to buy the others a second of reaction time. She doesn't have to. Su Ming is already moving. He's between her and the blade storm before it lands. Silver blade up, sword control active, redirecting the strike's force, and eating just enough of the impact to kill its momentum entirely. The storm dissipates. Ji Yao is untouched. Li Chengguang stares. Because a 1-star sword controller just intercepted a 10-star Blade Berserker's signature technique and walked it off. The math doesn't add up for him, but his survival instinct does. He burns a diamond rank escape item. That's an extremely expensive consumable, the kind you save for genuine emergencies, and vanishes from the dungeon entirely rather than find out what happens if he stays. Let that sink in. A top-tier hunter from a prestigious city blew a diamond escape item to get away from a student who's supposedly the weakest person in the academy. He'd rather lose that investment than risk the answer to the question Su Ming just silently posed. The party takes a breath. Ji Yao looks at Su Ming with an expression she doesn't quite put into words. Yanze whistles low. Jiang Yunqing files away another data point about the 1-star student who keeps doing impossible things. But the dungeon isn't done. Not even close. Because Su Ming has been reading the environment as they've moved through it, and he's picked up on something nobody else noticed. 3 riddles embedded in the dungeon's architecture. Inscriptions on walls. Patterns in floor markings. A combination that only resolves if you know what you're looking for. Su Ming knows what he's looking for. He's done this before. He works through the riddles methodically, and when the 3rd answer clicks into place, the dungeon shudders. A new section unlocks. The hidden boss chamber. Most dungeon runs never find this room. You have to know the riddles exist, you have to solve all 3 in sequence, and you have to do it before the dungeon timer forces you out. The hidden boss inside is an S-rank threat, and to be clear about what S-rank means, these are monsters that can level city blocks. The dungeon's primary content is F-grade. This hidden boss is several tiers above anything a student group should be fighting. Su Ming leads the party in anyway. The Lost Knight materializes in the center of the chamber, massive, armored, mounted on a spectral warhorse, radiating the kind of pressure that makes your instincts scream to run. It's an S-rank boss and it looks every bit of it. The horse alone is bigger than most dungeon rooms. The knight's weapon is a lance made of condensed dungeon energy, and the first thing it does is charge. Ji Yao's summons scatter to the flanks, buying space. Yanze fires into the joints of the warhorse's armor, not trying to kill it, just disrupting the mount's movement. Jiang Yunqing stays back and keeps the EXP buff running while monitoring HP. The plan is to dismount the knight. A mounted S-rank has reach, mobility, and charge momentum that makes it nearly unkillable. On foot, the calculus changes. They work it beautifully. The summons keep the horse's attention fragmented. Yanze's arrows find every gap in the plating. Su Ming drives his floating blade into the warhorse's legs in coordinated bursts timed with Yanze's shots. And after 3 full coordination cycles, the horse buckles. The Lost Knight hits the ground. Still S-rank. Still terrifying. But now it's fighting on Su Ming's terms. He goes to work. Sword control means his blade doesn't fight like a human's weapon. It moves in arcs and angles that make no physical sense, attacking from the Lost Knight's blind side, while Su Ming's body is positioned somewhere completely different. The knight is powerful and fast and durable, but it's designed to fight opponents who fight predictably. Su Ming doesn't. The battle runs long enough to hurt. The knight lands hits, and Su Ming takes damage that would drop a lesser hunter. But he stays in it, adjusting, reading, finding the pattern. And when he finally threads the blade through a gap in the knight's armor at the exact right angle, the thing shatters. S-rank boss cleared. 4 people. Beginner dungeon. The system practically explodes with notifications. Contribution tracking shows Su Ming at 91% of total dungeon damage output. The grade comes back as S-rank for the entire run, the highest possible score. Jiang Yunqing's mouth is open. Yanze looks like he needs to sit down. And somewhere in the academy's administrative office, Principal Wang is staring at the results feed and realizing the student he'd written off as a budget problem just made his school look very, very good. Su Ming walks out of that dungeon as the top-ranked graduate in the academy's history. Not top of his class. Top of the entire recorded leaderboard. The S-rank clear, the hidden boss, the 91% contribution score. It all feeds into a final assessment that leaves every instructor scrambling to recalculate their assumptions about the quiet kid with the trash-tier job. Principal Wang calls a formal graduation ceremony. The man who was mentally filing budget reduction paperwork the day of the Awakening assessment now stands at the podium, looking genuinely proud, as if he spotted Su Ming's potential from day one. He didn't. But that's fine. Su Ming isn't here for the principal's approval. He's here for the reward. The Tower Society Token. A physical golden coin that grants access to the 100-floor gauntlet, the most prestigious climbing system in the hunter world. Most hunters spend years trying to qualify. Su Ming earns it fresh out of the beginner dungeon, and the token sits in his palm feeling exactly as useful as he knew it would be. The Tower Society works like this. 100 floors, each one a combat trial against increasingly dangerous enemies. The higher you climb, the better the rewards. Floor completion bonuses, mid-tier treasure chests, and special milestone drops at floors 10, 20, 50, and 100. The catch is that every hunter starts on the same floor 1, and your progress is public. Your ranking on the tower leaderboard is visible to every other climber. It's a competitive system by design, and the people at the top of it tend to be very, very serious about staying there. Li Chengguang is one of those people. Su Ming spots him in the tower lobby before either of them has taken a single step inside. The Blade Berserker from Wuyang City, diamond escape item apparently restocked, now wearing the expression of someone who's been stewing since his embarrassing exit from the dungeon. He looks at Su Ming the way people look at unfinished business. Su Ming looks at him the way he looks at most things, calmly, calculating exactly how useful this interaction is. Here's the beautiful thing about the Tower Society's entry system. There's a seating mechanic in the lobby that most hunters treat as decoration. Rows of chairs outside each floor's entry gate, meant for hunters to rest or wait for party members. What the mechanic actually does, if you read the fine print, is allow any seated hunter to activate their floor portal slightly before the scheduled waves start. Not by much, 30 seconds, maybe 40. But in a race up 100 floors where every chest and every bonus is first come first served, 30 seconds is a canyon. Su Ming read the fine print. In his past life he read everything. He takes a seat in the front row, activates early, and steps through the portal before Li Chengguang even finishes registering what just happened. The floors blur. Su Ming moves through the tower's early levels like he's done this specific run before, which, in his memory, he basically has. The trial enemies on each floor have patterns, and patterns can be decoded, and decoded patterns can be exploited until what's supposed to be a grueling climb becomes a brisk walk. He clears floors 1 through 9 faster than any record the tower has on display. Floor 10 has the first milestone chest. Su Ming opens it before Li Chengguang reaches floor 6. The chest contents are tier-appropriate to his current progress, significantly better than what standard floor 10 completion normally drops, because milestone chests scale to the opener's performance rating rather than just their level. Su Ming pockets the loot and keeps climbing. Li Chengguang arrives at floor 10 to find the milestone chest already open and empty. He stares at it. He knows only one person could have gotten here first. The fury that crosses his face is the kind that comes from being outmaneuvered by someone he has absolutely decided is beneath him. He pushes harder. He's a 10-star Blade Berserker. His raw combat ability is elite tier, and when he stops holding back, he tears through the trial enemies on each floor with the kind of brute efficiency that normally tops tower leaderboards. He's genuinely fast, just not fast enough, because Su Ming changed his name at floor 15. The tower's public leaderboard shows hunter names in real time. Su Ming's registered academy name reads as something generic and forgettable. On floor 15, he opens the rename function, a rarely used feature most tower climbers don't bother with, and types 2 words, Godslayer. The leaderboard updates. Every hunter currently in the tower sees the name jump from nowhere to the top position. Li Chengguang, watching from several floors below, sees the name and the lead, and something complicated happens to his expression. Su Ming reaches floor 20. The Seal Knight is waiting. Unlike the lower floors, the floor 20 boss isn't just a scaled-up version of what came before. The Seal Knight is a specific, named entity, a tower guardian built to represent a genuine difficulty wall. It's the point where casual climbers hit their ceiling and decide to come back later. Even serious hunters treat floor 20 as a benchmark, not a guarantee. Su Ming attacks. His full toolkit, sword control, insight eye reading the Seal Knight's defensive patterns, divine step burning for burst speed, and he throws everything at it in a coordinated assault that should, statistically, end any fight at this tier. The Seal Knight doesn't go down, not because Su Ming fought badly, he fought brilliantly, but there's a math problem underneath the technique, and the math problem is his current stat ceiling. His levels aren't high enough yet. His raw numbers, strength, constitution, the damage multipliers that scale off base stats, cap out before the Seal Knight's HP does. He can read the fight perfectly and execute perfectly, and still run into the wall of what his body can currently output. He stands in front of the Seal Knight after his ultimate technique lands, and the dust clears, and the boss is still standing, and the Seal Knight does something unexpected. It speaks. A deep, resonant voice that fills the chamber and says simply that Su Ming's technique is sufficient. His skill is real. Only his current limitations stopped him, and those are temporary. Then it offers him a choice. Withdraw now and return when ready, or fight to the death and lose. Su Ming withdraws. No frustration, no ego bruised by it. He forfeited, because forfeiting is correct. You don't burn resources on an unwinnable fight when you can bank the experience and come back stronger. This is how he thinks now. Cold, efficient, never sentimental about outcomes. But he remembers what the Seal Knight said. Those words are a promise he intends to collect on. He exits the tower with his floor 20 progress locked in, his leaderboard position secured, and a very clear mental note about exactly what stats he needs to crack that fight next time. The milestone chest from floor 10 is a solid haul. His tower ranking puts his name, Godslayer, at the top of the public board, which is going to make certain people very uncomfortable very soon. Li Chengguang eventually reaches floor 20 himself and clears it, because his stats are genuinely top tier. But he does it 3 hours after Su Ming already left the building. He climbs to his best floor, banks his reward, and exits to find that the name above his on the leaderboard belongs to someone he's already tried to kill once. That stings in a specific way that money can't fix. Su Ming's attention shifts immediately to his next resource problem, gear. Specifically the gap between what he can currently equip and what he needs to push past floors like the Seal Knight encounter. His silver blade is solid for his current level, but it won't hold up through the next tier of content, and upgrading weapons isn't just a matter of buying better ones off a shop rack. The best gear comes from skilled forge masters, craftspeople who can push materials into quality tiers that mass-produced items never reach. Nahula is a name Su Ming carries from his past life, but in this timeline she's still a nobody. A struggling forge master working out of a cramped shop near the Academy District, taking whatever commissions she can get to keep the lights on, nowhere near the legendary status she'll eventually achieve. Most hunters walk past her shop without a second look. Su Ming walks in. He knows what Nahula becomes. He's seen her work at its peak, weapons that pushed top-tier hunters past barriers they'd been stuck at for years. The craftsmanship she develops over a decade of refinement is the kind of thing guilds fight over. Right now she's working with subpar materials and taking undersized commissions, but the talent is already there underneath the circumstances. Su Ming offers her a sponsorship deal. Real funding, upfront, in exchange for a lifetime 30% discount on all future commissions. Nahula looks at this one-star sword controller with obvious confusion. Why would someone like this invest in a forge master like her? But the money is real, and the offer is serious, and she accepts. The deal costs Su Ming a significant chunk of his current coin. He doesn't flinch. This is an investment with a known return on investment. He's already seen the ROI, just in a different timeline. He leaves the shop with an upgraded weapon order placed and a contract that's going to pay off exponentially as both of them get stronger. He's building infrastructure now. Not just leveling. Not just grinding. He's positioning pieces for a game he intends to win completely. The weapon Nahula produces when his order is ready is a meaningful step up from what he had. Not diamond tier, not yet, she's not there yet either, but it's a real quality improvement that pushes his effective combat output up a bracket. He equips it, runs inside eye across the stats, and nods once. Good enough for the next stage, which is the Mirage Zone. Beyond the tower and beyond the dungeon networks lies the Mirage Zone, a massive open wilderness where beast populations run wild, and human hunters operate without the safety nets that dungeons provide. No reset timers, no structured layouts, no guaranteed revival points. The Mirage Zone is real wilderness with real consequences, and it attracts hunters looking for high-yield quests that the dungeon system can't offer. The quest Su Ming picks up is a D-rank hunt, Python King, a massive serpent predator that dominates a section of the Mirage Zone's forest territory. D-rank quests are above beginner level, but well within the range of a competent mid-tier team. For Su Ming, it's a resource and leveling opportunity. What it turns out to also be is a trap, but not the Python Kings. Jiang Tang has been busy. The arrogant rich kid who murdered Su Ming in a past life didn't take the lobby confrontation well. Whatever happened between them during the academy period, the subtle humiliations, the power gap that kept widening in the wrong direction from Jiang Tang's perspective, curdled into something uglier than jealousy. He's not strong enough to handle Su Ming directly. He knows that now, even if he won't admit it out loud. So he did what people with money and wounded pride do. He hired professionals. 3 assassins enter the Mirage Zone ahead of Su Ming. They're good, not elite, but experienced enough to set up a clean ambush position in the forest canopy before their target arrives. They know the quest he picked up. They know the route. They have suppression skills designed to cut off escape options, and they're planning to hit him fast and hard before he can respond. Su Ming walks into the forest and spots all 3 of them before any of them move. Insight Eye. He's had it active since he entered the Mirage Zone, because of course he has. The skill reads heat signatures, hidden presences, anything trying to stay invisible within his perception range. 3 anomalies in the canopy overhead, trying very hard not to breathe loudly. Their gear is above average and their positioning is textbook. Professional work. Su Ming doesn't react visibly. He keeps walking the same pace, same direction, same body language. Completely unbothered on the outside, running calculations on the inside, the Python King's territory markers are visible through the tree line. Crushed undergrowth, shed scales the size of paving stones, the particular silence that settles over a forest when an apex predator owns the ground. The serpent is massive, genuinely dangerous for a solo hunter at Su Ming's current level, and the 3 assassins in the trees are banking on him being occupied with it when they strike. Su Ming decides to give them exactly that, just not the version they planned. He finds the Python King's current position using Insight Eye. The massive serpent is coiled at the base of a ridge about 300 meters north, digesting something. He starts moving toward it. The assassins shift in the canopy, tracking him, preparing to time their drop with the moment the snake engages. What they don't account for is that Su Ming changes his angle at the last 50 meters. Instead of approaching the Python King from the standard hunting vector, which would put him between the snake and the canopy position, he curves around and comes in from the side. The adjusted approach means when the Python King startles awake and lunges, it lunges toward the canopy position, directly at the 3 assassins. The ambush team hits the forest floor 20 feet below their perches, frantically scattering as 300 kilos of enraged serpent rewrites their entire plan. The Python King doesn't care about Su Ming right now. It cares about the 3 panicking humans who just fell into its line of sight. Su Ming watches from a distance, Insight Eye tracking everything, and lets the chaos run. The fight between the assassins and the Python King is ugly and desperate. The assassins aren't equipped for a boss-tier beast engagement. Their gear is optimized for hunting a specific human target, not tanking a giant snake's full aggression. They burn through skills trying to survive. The Python King takes damage, real damage, but so do the assassins. One goes down early. The other 2 keep fighting because they have no choice. By the time the Python King finally collapses, worn down by accumulated wounds from 3 experienced fighters who were absolutely not planning to spend their energy on it, the 2 surviving assassins are barely standing. Out of skills, low on HP, running on adrenaline and desperation. Su Ming steps out of the tree cover. The assassins look at him. He looks at them. The Python King is dead. The quest objective is technically complete. The 2 people Jiang Tang paid to kill him are currently so damaged they can barely lift their weapons. He walks toward them calmly and finishes the job. Clean, efficient, no performance about it. He isn't angry. He isn't theatrical. They came here to kill him, they failed, and the consequence of failing is the same consequence they were planning to deliver. Su Ming just makes sure the math resolves correctly. The system registers Python King kill, D-rank hunt quest complete. But the forest isn't done with him. He's cataloging the loot from the Python King. Scales, venom glands, core materials, when his legs stop working. Full paralysis, instant. A needle-thin dart he never heard or saw, hitting the back of his neck with surgical precision. A 4th assassin, one who wasn't in the trees, one who was already on the ground, hidden in a completely different position, watching the entire sequence play out and waiting for the exact moment Su Ming's guard dropped. This one is better than the other 3. A lot better. The paralysis skill pins Su Ming completely. He can't move his limbs, can't activate movement abilities, can't reach for his weapon. Sword control is mental, so his floating blade is technically still available, but with his concentration disrupted by the paralysis effect, precise manipulation is nearly impossible. The fourth assassin steps out of the undergrowth, a silver-haired mage, expression utterly flat, already preparing the finishing strike. This is the closest Su Ming has come to a genuine problem since the reincarnation. Then something drops out of the tree above the silver-haired mage and lands directly on his head. The impact isn't devastating. She's small, maybe 40 kilos soaking wet, but the surprise is total. A catgirl. Literally. Feline ears, tail, quick reflexes, and absolutely zero hesitation about dropping claws first onto a mage's skull as a distraction tactic. Her name is Leah. She's level 3. Her village was destroyed, and she's been surviving alone in the Mirage Zone for what looks like an extended and brutal stretch of time. She's not strong enough to hurt the fourth assassin seriously, but she doesn't need to be. She needs to hold his attention for 3 seconds. Su Ming needs 3 seconds. The paralysis effect has a concentration requirement on the caster's end. Break his focus and the pin weakens. Leah screaming and clawing at the silver-haired mage's face breaks his focus spectacularly. The paralysis fractures. Su Ming's legs come back online. What happens next takes less than 2 seconds. Su Ming is upright, blade is moving, and the silver-haired mage, who just made the tactical error of looking away from a mythical 10-star sword god to deal with a catgirl, receives a strike he doesn't see coming at all. Su Ming's expression when it lands is the same cold calm he's had this entire fight. Not vindictive, not satisfying, just correct. The fourth assassin goes down, the ambush is over. Su Ming turns to look at Leah. She's crouched a few meters away, tail puffed up, watching him with eyes that are calculating even through the obvious exhaustion and stress. She looks like she's been through something genuinely terrible. She has. Her entire village, her people, gone. She found herself alone in a wilderness that's actively trying to kill her, at level 3, with nothing. She asks him to teach her, directly, without preamble, without building to it. Just a straight request with a desperation underneath it that she's not trying to hide. She doesn't want to be alone in this zone with no protection and no direction. She wants to get stronger. She wants someone who clearly knows what they're doing to show her how. Su Ming looks at her for a long moment. She just saved his life. An argument could be made that she didn't, that he would have broken the paralysis eventually, that divine step might have kicked in, that sword control might have found an angle. Maybe. But she made it clean and fast when it could have been ugly, and that counts for something in his accounting system. He gifts her a skill, pulls up his inventory, finds a combat technique scroll he picked up from the Python King's loot pool, and hands it to her. A real skill, appropriate to her class, the kind of thing she couldn't afford and wouldn't find alone in the Mirage Zone. She stares at it like it might disappear. He doesn't formally take her as a student, not in so many words, but the gift is a statement. She reads it correctly. She follows him out of the forest. The quest result processes when Su Ming submits his completion report at the Mirage Zone checkpoint. Python King, confirmed dead. Method of kill, listed as standard combat engagement. Su Ming keeps the assassin involvement entirely out of the report. He describes a solo hunt, gives away none of the details that would raise questions about who sent professionals into the Mirage Zone to kill an academy graduate, and lets the system assign its rating based purely on the hunt metrics. Diamond rating. For a D-rank quest, Diamond is the highest possible performance grade. The system awards it when kill efficiency, time to completion, and combat condition factors all exceed the expected ceiling by a significant margin. Most hunters running Python King quests come back with gold or platinum ratings if they're performing well. Su Ming just handed in a diamond on what the report describes as a routine solo engagement. The checkpoint officer gives him a look that falls somewhere between impressed and confused. Su Ming accepts the rating without comment. The reward package that comes with a Diamond D-rank completion is substantial. Coin payout, material bonuses, a reputation tick on his hunter profile that starts building his public record in a direction he finds useful. Not too visible. Not so flashy that every guild in range starts asking questions. Just solid, documented progress. Word gets back to the Jiang family. Not about the assassins. That thread stays buried. And Jiang Tang is apparently smart enough not to advertise that he hired professionals who all died in a forest. But the Diamond Quest rating circulates through the hunter community the way these things do, and the Jiang family name is connected to the academy that Su Ming graduated from. and someone in their administrative tier makes the decision to send a gift, a golden sword. Literally golden, not gold tier in the system sense, but a ceremonial presentation weapon with real gold inlay on the hilt and a display case that costs more than most hunters earn in a month. It arrives at Su Ming's dormitory with a card that says something about recognizing outstanding achievement in the hunter community. Su Ming reads the card. He looks at the sword. He looks at the card again. Then he starts calculating what Nahula could do with the coin this thing is worth on the secondary market. A ceremonial presentation sword with gold inlay is not a combat weapon. It's a status symbol, which means its value to Su Ming is precisely 0. Its value to a collector or a wealthy hunter who cares about appearances is considerably higher. He can move this item through the right channels and dump the proceeds directly into Nahula's forge fund. Better materials, better equipment for her workshop, which translates directly into better weapons for him down the line. He sets the display case on his desk, leans back and does the math. The numbers are good. The next tier of forging gets a significant budget injection. Nahula's progression accelerates. His weapon quality in 2 months will be something entirely different from what he's carrying now. He's been back in this life for what amounts to a few weeks of compressed, brutal progress. He's gone from a mocked 1-star academy student to a diamond-rated D-rank hunter with a tower leaderboard name that's already making Li Chengguang lose sleep. He's cut Ren Xiaoman out of the picture permanently, buried 4 assassination attempts without leaving evidence, secured a legendary Forge Master's services at a lifetime discount, and built a party of allies who actually deserve his protection. Jiang Tong is still out there, wounded pride and deep pockets, trying to figure out his next move. The Seal Knight on floor 20 is still standing, waiting for a rematch. And above the D-rank quest tier, above the tower floors Su Ming has already claimed, the world's actual endgame content is sitting there exactly as he remembers it. Dangerous and enormous and full of resources that aren't being properly exploited yet. Su Ming closes his eyes in the dormitory, the golden sword gleaming uselessly in its case on his desk, and runs through everything he knows about what's coming next. He's already 3 moves ahead of everyone hunting him. He needs to be 10. The golden sword sells for exactly what Su Ming estimated. A collector in the Hunter District buys it within 48 hours. No haggling, no hesitation, just a clean transfer of funds that hits Su Ming's account and immediately gets redirected toward Nahula's workshop. Nahula opens the payment notification and stares at it for a solid 10 seconds. She's seen sponsorship deals before. Small ones, cautious ones, investors who drip-feed funding while watching for signs of commercial potential before committing more. What Su Ming just deposited is not that. It's a real injection. The kind of capital that lets a forge master stop taking desperate commissions for cheap repair work and actually invest in high-grade materials. She sends him a message asking if the transfer was an error. He replies with a list of specifications. The weapon he wants next, the material tier he expects her to source, and a rough timeline. No pleasantries, just the project details. Nahula gets to work. While the forge runs, Su Ming turns his attention back to the Mirage Zone. The Python King territory is cleared and the quest is closed, but the Mirage Zone is enormous. Multiple biomes, multiple apex predators, multiple resource veins that don't show up on any Academy map because the Academy's documentation only covers the beginner sectors. Su Ming's past life memory covers a lot more than the beginner sectors. He goes deeper. Leah follows 3 steps behind him, quiet and focused. The skill scroll he gave her has been integrated and she's been drilling it constantly. He can tell from the way her movement patterns shifted, more deliberate, better weight distribution when she lands. She's level 3 with a gifted technique she barely has the stats to use properly yet, which means she's currently more liability than asset in a real fight. Su Ming knows this. He brings her anyway. The reason is simple. She needs combat exposure at a controlled difficulty level, and the deeper Mirage Zone has exactly that. Mid-tier beasts, D rank and low C rank, that are well above her current capability but below the threshold where one mistake ends her. Su Ming handles anything that exceeds her range and lets her work through everything that doesn't. It's an efficient training structure, no wasted trips. Leah doesn't complain. She takes damage she probably shouldn't take, gets back up, and tries the same engagement differently. She has good instincts under the inexperience, and her catfolk reflexes give her a natural agility baseline that most human hunters spend months developing. She just needs reps. Su Ming watches her work and cross-references it against his memory of what she eventually becomes. The potential is visible. She just needs time and not to die, which is what he's here to prevent. The deeper Mirage Zone also has something else worth mentioning. Material nodes. Rare herbs, monster components, ore deposits that only form in territory strong enough to keep most hunters out. Su Ming runs inside eye across every rock formation and plant cluster they pass. And by the third deep zone excursion, he's built up a stockpile of crafting components that Nahula's eyes are going to widen at when she sees them. He drops the materials at her workshop on day 6. She does widen her eyes. Then she immediately starts sorting them into priority piles because she knows exactly what some of these are worth and exactly what she can do with them. The upgrade to his next weapon is going to be meaningful. Su Ming takes stock of his current position on day 7. Stats are climbing consistently. The deep zone runs combined with Jiang Yunqing's lingering party buff. She's generous with it, keeping the arrangement active because the EXP is good for her too, have pushed his level into a range where the gap between his public profile and his actual capability is becoming genuinely absurd. A 1-star sword controller at his current level and stat distribution shouldn't exist. The numbers don't compute. Nobody is looking closely enough to notice yet. The tower leaderboard shows Godslayer at the top of the accessible floors, which has generated some chatter in hunter circles, but without a real name attached, the identity stays protected. He's a rumor, a weird anomaly at the top of the early tower rankings that serious high-tier hunters haven't bothered investigating because early tower floors are beneath their attention. That changes when he pushes to floor 30. Floor 30 of the Tower Society is mid-tier territory. The hunters who operate here aren't academy students. They're working professionals, guild members, hunters who've been climbing for years. They have established rankings, solid gear, and the casual confidence of people who know exactly where they stand in the hierarchy. Su Ming enters floor 30 and starts moving at the same pace he moved through the early floors. The trial enemies on 30 are significantly more dangerous than what he handled before. C-rank combat constructs, fast and coordinated, designed to punish anyone who fights sloppily. They're not designed for someone using sword control to manage 3 simultaneous attack vectors while Inside Eye feeds him their movement patterns in real time. Su Ming cuts through the floor in a time that gets flagged by the tower's internal tracking system. A notification goes out to the Tower Society's administrative tier. New Floor 30 record. Godslayer. The hunters who were comfortably sitting on the Floor 30 leaderboard see their rankings shift down 1 position and look up at the new name with varying degrees of irritation. Floor 30's bonus chest has better contents than Floor 10's. The milestone rewards scale steeply as you climb. Su Ming opens it, processes the contents, and keeps moving. Floor 31, 32. He's not trying to set records right now. He's testing his current ceiling, feeling out where the next wall is. It shows up at Floor 35. The trial construct on 35 is a Guardian-class enemy, a specific tower threat that doesn't appear on earlier floors, built specifically to punish stat-inflated hunters who've been powering through on raw numbers. The Guardian reads your combat patterns in real time and adapts its defensive configuration mid-fight. The faster you attack, the better it models your technique. Against most hunters, this makes it a genuine nightmare. The longer the fight goes, the harder it gets to land anything. Against sword control, it's interesting, because sword control's attack vectors aren't physically constrained the way a normal hunter's strikes are. The Guardian calibrates against arm movement, body positioning, stance transitions. Su Ming's blade doesn't follow any of those rules. It floats. It changes direction without telegraphing. The Guardian's adaptation engine spends the first 30 seconds of the fight modeling an attack pattern that doesn't actually exist, because the movement it's reading is Su Ming's body, and the damage is coming from somewhere completely different. By the time the Guardian recalibrates to track the blade instead, Su Ming has already mapped its defensive rotation and found the window. He hits the window twice. The Guardian goes down on the second hit. Floor 35 cleared. Su Ming checks his stat display, cross-references it against the Seal Knight fight on Floor 20, and does the math. He's not ready to re-challenge Floor 20's boss in the sense that the numbers are different enough yet, but he can feel the gap closing. A few more deep zone runs. Nahula's next weapon upgrade. Maybe 2 weeks. The Seal Knight is going to have a bad day in 2 weeks. He's back at the dormitory when Ji Yao finds him. She's been running her own content, summoner progression, building up her collection, pushing through the dungeon network at a pace that's solid for her class. She's not grinding with the same intensity as Su Ming because very few people grind with that intensity, but she's moving consistently forward, and her roster of summons is expanding. She knocks on his dorm room door and waits, which is very Ji Yao. She's never assumed anything about his time or his attention. He lets her in. She has a question. It's been building for a while, and she's clearly chosen this moment carefully. The question is simple. She knows he's hiding something. Not in an accusatory way. She's not confronting him, not demanding answers. She's just stating what she's observed, because she's sharp, and she's been paying attention since the dungeon, and she wants him to know that she knows, and she isn't going anywhere regardless. Su Ming looks at her for a long moment. He doesn't tell her everything. He doesn't tell anyone everything. That's not how he operates. And the full truth about his past life and his actual class and the depth of what he's planning is information with significant risk attached to it. But he tells her something. Enough. He confirms that his public profile is not his real capability. He tells her that the people who tried to hurt her in the dungeon, Li Chengguang, the whole situation, are connected to a larger problem he's handling. He tells her that she's safe as long as she's near him, and that he intends to keep it that way. Ji Yao listens without interrupting. When he finishes, she nods once, like he's confirmed something she already decided. Then she asks if there's anything she can do to help the actual plan, rather than just the surface-level dungeon runs. Su Ming thinks about that. Her summon roster, at its current development level, has a specific gap, crowd control variety. She can summon combat-type creatures reliably, but her roster lacks a high-mobility scout summon that could provide real-time positioning data in chaotic fights. He tells her exactly which summon type to prioritize acquiring, and exactly which dungeon has the highest spawn rate for the binding material she'd need. Ji Yao writes it down. She thanks him and leaves. Leah, watching from the corner of the room where she's been silently existing, waits until Ji Yao is gone and then asks if Su Ming trusts everyone that easily. Su Ming tells her no, just Ji Yao. Leah accepts this with a small nod and goes back to drilling her combat technique in the corner, which she has apparently been doing the entire time Ji Yao was talking. The girl does not waste moments. Nahula's second delivery arrives at the end of the week. The weapon is a significant step up, not diamond tier. She's not there yet in her crafting progression. But the material quality Su Ming supplied pushed the output well above what she'd normally produce at her current skill level. The blade has a weight and balance that his silver weapon didn't have, a sharpness that Insight Eye reads as genuinely impressive stat values, and a compatibility with sword control that makes the telekinetic manipulation smoother and faster. The reaction time between his mental command and the blade's movement tightens measurably. He runs a test sweep in the dormitory courtyard at night. Sword control moves the blade through a 12-point pattern he designed specifically to test the Floor 35 Guardian's adaptive rotation. Clean. Fast. The blade changes direction at each point without the micro delay his old weapon had. Nahula has no idea what she just made. She will, eventually. He's going to keep bringing her better materials and better specifications, and she's going to keep exceeding expectations until the gap between her current output and her legendary future output closes faster than it did in the previous timeline. The investment is paying off exactly on schedule. On the 8th day after the Python King quest, Jiang Tong makes his next move. Jiang Tong is not stupid. Arrogant, yes. Entitled, absolutely. But not stupid. He knows the 4 assassins he sent into the Mirage Zone didn't come back, and he knows the Python King quest filed as a clean diamond completion, and he knows these two facts don't coexist in a world where Su Ming is actually a 1-star sword controller who got lucky. He's been doing math he doesn't like the answer to. The next move isn't another hired hit. He spent that option and it returned nothing. Instead, he goes institutional, pulls strings through his family's connections to the Hunter Bureau, the governing body that oversees registered hunters and their quest activity. He files a formal investigation request, misconduct in quest completion, suspicious rating inflation. He dresses it in bureaucratic language and attaches his family name to the filing, which carries enough weight to get it taken seriously by the desk officers who process these things. The investigation opens. A bureau auditor is assigned. Su Ming finds out about it the same day through a source he's had since his past life. Not a person, but a system exploit. Insight Eye, used carefully on public information nodes, surfaces data connections that most hunters never think to check. The Bureau's case file is internal, but its existence isn't invisible, and the case number registers against his Hunter ID in a way that Insight Eye can read. He's not panicked, he's annoyed, mildly, in the way you get annoyed when someone wastes your time with something you're going to have to deal with before you can get back to what you were actually doing. The investigation is a problem with a specific shape. The auditor will request his quest records, cross-reference them against known kill metrics for Python King class beasts, and look for inconsistencies. The inconsistencies exist. A 1-star hunter solo clearing a D-rank boss at Diamond Efficiency is statistically improbable. If the auditor digs far enough, the gap between his public class and his actual performance becomes visible. The solution isn't to fight the investigation. It's to make it uninteresting before it gains momentum. Su Ming visits the checkpoint officer who processed his Python King rating. He doesn't alter his story. He tells the same version he told originally, the clean solo engagement narrative. But he brings documentation this time. Specifically, he brings the Python King's venom gland cores, the scale samples, and the material breakdown from the kill, physical evidence that matches a solo engagement pattern, because it does match, because he genuinely killed it alone after the assassins softened it. The fact that 3 hired killers died in the process getting it to that state is not documented anywhere. The checkpoint officer reviews the evidence. It's consistent. The rating stands on its own merits when you look at the physical proof. When the auditor arrives 3 days later, the file they review is clean. Strong performance, unusual for a low-star hunter, but physically substantiated and consistent. No grounds for misconduct. The case closes in under a week. Jiang Tang receives the closure notification and his expression reportedly does something interesting. Reportedly, because Su Ming isn't there to see it, he heard about it through the same information channel. But he can picture it well enough. Jiang Tang's next filing is more personal. He requests a formal challenge match. The Tower Society runs a side system for inter-hunter disputes, structured combat in a designated arena, witnessed, with stakes both parties agree to in advance. It's used for territory disputes, debt settlements, and personal grudges that the parties want resolved without bureau involvement. Jiang Tang files a challenge and names Su Ming specifically, citing the academy period and what he frames as unresolved competitive standing. The stakes he proposes, Su Ming's tower ranking position and registered hunter name get transferred if Jiang Tang wins. Jiang Tang's family will withdraw all bureau filings and pay a significant coin penalty if Su Ming wins. Su Ming reads the challenge document and almost smiles. Almost. Jiang Tang is a 10-star Blade Berserker variant. Different subclass from Li Chengguang but same tier of raw combat power. On paper, a 1-star sword controller has no business accepting this fight. On paper, this is Jiang Tang betting everything on the assumption that Su Ming's Diamond Quest rating was a fluke or an exploit, that the real gap between them is exactly what the public profiles suggest, and that he can settle this decisively in a controlled arena before Su Ming's anomalous performance record gets any longer. On paper, it's a trap. Su Ming accepts it. The arena match is scheduled for 4 days out. Word gets around. Challenge matches are public events and this one has an interesting hook. The trash-tier academy graduate who somehow logged a Diamond D-rank quest result is fighting a wealthy 10-star hunter in a formal duel. The betting pools that open within 12 hours of the announcement are not kind to Su Ming's odds. The ratio runs about 14-1 against him. He finds this useful. More people betting against him means more people who owe someone coin when the result comes in. He spends the 4 days preparing. Not desperately. He's not scrambling to close a gap that doesn't exist. He's planning specifically how to handle Jiang Tang's combat style, which he knows from his past life. Jiang Tang fights aggressively, always pushing forward, relying on his star advantage to overwhelm opponents before they can establish a defensive pattern. He's powerful, and he's fast, and he has almost no experience fighting anyone who doesn't fold under initial pressure. Su Ming intends to not fold under initial pressure. This will confuse Jiang Tang enormously. He also spends time with Leah and Ji Yao in the days before the match. Not training sessions specifically, just time. Ji Yao secured the scout summon binding material from the dungeon he pointed her toward, and has been working on the integration, and she brings her progress to show him. The summon is still unstable, still learning its role in her roster, but the foundation is solid. He gives her 2 specific commands to drill with it, positioning patterns that pair well with Sword Control's attack vectors. She files them away immediately. Leah is up to level 7, in a week. Drilling the combat technique every available moment, taking on Mirage Zone encounters at the edge of her capability range, pushing hard. Her stat growth is fast even for her level range. Catfolk have a natural agility scaling bonus that compounds well with the technique Su Ming gave her. She's going to be genuinely dangerous in another month. Right now, she's dangerous enough that Su Ming stopped worrying about her in standard encounters and started worrying about her in elite ones instead, which is meaningful progress. The morning of the arena match, Su Ming eats breakfast, checks his blade, Nahula's new weapon, balanced and sharp, and walks to the arena. The crowd is already filling the observation platforms when he arrives. Challenge matches draw audiences. This one draws a bigger one than usual because of the narrative. The underdog with the impossible quest rating versus the rich kid with the appropriate star count. People enjoy that story regardless of which side they're on. Jiang Tang is already in the arena when Su Ming steps through the gate. He looks exactly as Su Ming remembers. Tall, well-dressed even in combat gear, carrying himself with the confidence of someone who has never genuinely lost anything important. He looks at Su Ming across the arena floor with an expression that mixes contempt and calculation, trying to read something in Su Ming's posture that would explain the Python King anomaly. He doesn't find it. Su Ming's posture gives away nothing. The referee runs through the match parameters. No lethal force. The arena has revival anchors, standard safety protocol for formal duels. First to yield or drop below 15% HP loses. No outside assistance. Begin on the signal. The signal fires. Jiang Tang moves immediately, exactly as expected. He covers half the arena distance in 2 seconds, his combat style activating, blade techniques charging up invisible energy bursts around his hands. He's leading with his strongest opening because he's planning to end this fast. Hit Su Ming hard, establish the power gap publicly, close the file on whatever weird anomaly has been building in his head since the Python King result. Su Ming activates Divine Step. The speed boost is dramatic, not a slight acceleration. Divine Step is a full-tier velocity jump with a brief invulnerability window attached, and it takes him from standing to moving faster than Jiang Tang's opening technique can track. He's not running away. He's repositioning, stepping sideways and slightly behind Jiang Tang's charge vector, so that when Jiang Tang's technique completes its forward momentum, it connects with empty space. Jiang Tang spins, adjusts, fires a second technique before Su Ming has fully settled. Sword control brings the blade up. The technique hits the floating blade instead of Su Ming's body, deflects, dissipates against the arena wall. Jiang Tang stares at the blade hanging in the air between them, a weapon with no hand on it, hovering at chest height, angled at him, and processes what he's looking at. The crowd processes it at the same time. The betting pool holders start sweating. Su Ming doesn't give Jiang Tang time to finish processing. The floating blade moves, not straight, not telegraphed, a diagonal arc that targets the shoulder of Jiang Tang's weapon arm. Jiang Tang blocks it, barely, with a last-second technique activation that costs him a significant chunk of his skill gauge. He blocks the next one too, and the next, but he's spending resources to defend against attacks that keep coming from angles he has to constantly recalculate, and he's not landing anything on Su Ming because every time he commits to an offensive strike, Divine Step repositions the target before the strike resolves. The crowd is very quiet. Jiang Tang shifts strategy. He stops chasing and plants himself centrally, activating a wide area technique, a burst that radiates outward in all directions. The kind of move designed to punish mobile fighters who rely on footwork. The burst expands fast and catches the arena space comprehensively. Su Ming reads it coming through inside eye 3 seconds before the activation completes. He's already airborne, a vertical jump that takes him above the burst radius, and the floating blade is below him, angled down, driving into Jiang Tang's guard at the exact moment his defensive gauge is depleted from the wide area activation. The blade connects. Jiang Tang's HP bar drops sharply, not to 15%, not yet, but enough to shift the visible numbers significantly. The arena display shows the percentages publicly. Everyone watching can see what's happening. Jiang Tang looks at his HP bar, looks at Su Ming descending calmly from the jump, looks at the blade floating back into position for another pass. He activates his strongest technique, everything he has left, committed to one massive strike, the kind of technique that ends fights when it lands. A full power output that burns through his remaining skill gauge entirely. It's a desperate play and he knows it, but he's out of options and he's not the type to yield gracefully. Su Ming activates Inside Eye at maximum range, reads the technique's completion pattern, and steps through the one gap in it that the skill reveals. The massive strike screams past him close enough to shred the air beside his ear. He feels the pressure wave. He doesn't move from it other than that single precise sidestep. Then his blade is at Jiang Tang's throat, not moving, just there. The referee calls the match. Jiang Tang's HP hasn't hit 15%, but he's completely out of skills, out of gauge, and the blade at his throat belongs to someone who just demonstrated that every technique he has doesn't reach him. Continuing means taking hits with no way to respond. The referee counts it as a yield position. Jiang Tang yields. The arena is extremely loud suddenly. Everyone who bet 14-1 against Su Ming is doing complicated emotional math. Everyone who somehow bet on the underdog is considerably richer. Jiang Tang stands in the arena with his fists clenched, staring at the floor, and Su Ming walks past him toward the gate without saying anything. No speech. No monologue about the past life or the betrayal or what's coming next. The result is the statement. The silence around it is intentional. Jiang Tang has a coin penalty to pay, and bureau filings to withdraw, and a leaderboard he lost access to, and he has to do all of that while everyone who watched this match goes home thinking about the one-star sword controller who just took a 10-star hunter apart methodically in a formal duel. Outside the arena, Ji Yao is waiting. She has the specific expression of someone who already knew the outcome but still found watching it satisfying. Leah is beside her, tail moving in a slow arc, looking like she filed everything she just witnessed into a mental folder she'll study later. Su Ming collects the challenge winnings, notes that Jiang Tang's family coin transfer hits his account within the hour, they're prompt payers, whatever else they are, and starts thinking about the Seal Knight. The stats are close enough now. Nahula's weapon is in his hands. The arena fight burned no real resources. Floor 20 is sitting there, and the Seal Knight made him a promise. He heads to the tower that evening. The Tower Society lobby is quieter in the evening. The daytime rush of Academy graduates and guild-affiliated hunters clears out by the 6th hour, and what's left is the serious contingent, the ones who treat the tower as a job rather than a challenge, running floors with methodical consistency. They nod at each other when they pass. Nobody talks much. Su Ming walks through to the floor 20 gate and doesn't slow down. He takes the same seat he used the first time, front row. Activates early, steps through. The floor 20 chamber is exactly as he left it. High stone walls, dim ambient light. The faint sound of something large breathing in the darkness ahead. The Seal Knight emerges the same way it did before. Slow, deliberate, filling the chamber with presence before it's even fully visible. Full armor, closed visor, the massive halberd it carries dragging one end along the floor as it walks. The sound of that drag is low and rhythmic and deeply unpleasant. Su Ming rolls his shoulders and brings his blade up. The Seal Knight stops at combat range and does something it didn't do last time. It tilts its head slightly, a small motion, almost curious, as if checking whether the hunter who forfeited last time is actually back. Then it raises the halberd. Su Ming is already moving. The gap between this fight and the last one is measurable in specific places. His agility stat is meaningfully higher. Divine Step covers more distance per activation, and the invulnerability window lasts fractionally longer. His strength multiplier pushes Sword Control's strike impact past a threshold that matters for armored opponents. And Nahula's blade, cutting through the chamber air in its first real combat test at this level, has an edge quality his previous weapon didn't. The Seal Knight's first swing is massive, a horizontal arc that would clear the entire chamber floor if it connected. Su Ming drops under it, Sword Control driving the blade upward into the joint between the halberd's haft and head. Not trying to break it, trying to redirect the momentum. The halberd wobbles on its return arc, giving him a window. He takes it. 2 strikes in quick succession, targeting the Seal Knight's left pauldron, the joint he identified last time as the weakest point in the armor configuration. Inside Eye lights up the contact point in his perception. The first strike finds the edge of the weak zone. The second goes straight through it. The Seal Knight staggers. Actually staggers. A genuine backward step from an entity that held its ground completely last time. The HP display ticks down. Not dramatically, not a massive chunk, but it moves. It registers. Su Ming exhales and keeps pressing. The Seal Knight recovers faster than expected. It shifts its grip on the halberd and switches from wide sweeping attacks to close range drives. Shorter movements, harder to dodge under, designed to take away the footwork that made Divine Step so effective in the opening exchange. Smart adaptation. The thing isn't just a stat wall, it reads the fight and adjusts. Su Ming reads it adjusting and adjusts back. Sword control handles the close-range drives better than any conventional weapon could. The floating blade doesn't need his body to be in a specific position to attack. It can strike from directly behind the Seal Knight while Su Ming is standing in front of it, or come in from ground level while he's jumping, or hold position at the Seal Knight's visor level as a threat while the real attack comes from the flank. The Knight's new close-range strategy removes Su Ming's footwork advantage. But footwork was never his only tool. They trade for 2 full minutes at close range, which in combat time is an eternity. Su Ming takes 2 solid hits. One clips his shoulder hard enough to spin him, burning through a chunk of his HP bar. The second catches his guard directly and staggers him backward 3 steps. He feels both hits in his bones. Good. Pain means he's still in it. The Seal Knight's HP is sitting at 62%. Last time he never touched it. 62% is a completely different conversation. Su Ming activates Insight Eye at full power and holds it. The skill costs mana to sustain, draining his resource pool faster than passive use. But what it shows him in return is the Seal Knight's full combat data. Not just the weak points, but the attack timing. The specific millisecond windows between technique activations, where the armor's magical reinforcement drops to allow movement. There are 3 windows per cycle. Small, precise, requiring exact positioning. He starts timing the windows. First window, he's not in position yet. He takes a defensive step back, absorbs a glancing strike to his offside, and uses the momentum to reposition. Second window, he's close but the blade is a half-second behind where it needs to be. He holds, doesn't force it. Forcing it wastes the attempt and costs him a positioning reset. Third window, perfect. The blade drives into the weak zone at the left pauldron with everything Su Ming has channeled behind it. Not a fast strike. A committed, fully weighted push that sinks through the armor gap and connects with whatever structural core the Seal Knight's magic is anchored to. The impact reverberates up through Sword Control's connection like a physical shock. The Seal Knight makes a sound. Not speech this time. Something deeper. A resonant crack from inside the armor. Like a bell being struck hard enough to fracture. It drops to one knee. Su Ming doesn't stop. He's already reading the next window, already repositioning the blade for the follow-through. The Seal Knight starts to rise, powerful even damaged, even at whatever HP it's sitting on now, and Su Ming fires the follow-through strike before it reaches full height. Second impact on the same weak zone. The pauldron fractures visibly this time. Actual physical damage to the armor surface, cracks spreading from the impact point. The magical reinforcement in that section collapses. The Seal Knight's HP drops below 40%, then below 30%. Then the halberd swings one more time, the last real offense it manages, a downward vertical that Su Ming sidesteps with a Divine Step activation that costs him the last of that skill's cooldown, and the momentum of the swing takes the Seal Knight off balance for exactly the moment Su Ming needs. He takes it. The final strike goes through the visor gap, direct, precise. The kind of shot that only exists because Insight Eye showed him the exact angle and Nahula's blade has the edge to thread it. The Seal Knight's movement stops completely. The halberd drops. The massive armored figure stands absolutely still for 2 full seconds. Then it speaks. The same resonant voice as before, but different in texture. Not evaluating this time. Something that sounds almost like acknowledgement. It says that the gap is closed, that he came back as promised, that the next floor will not be as forgiving. Then it dissolves. The armor collapses inward, folds down to nothing, and leaves behind a floor 20 completion marker glowing in the stone where it stood. Su Ming stands in the empty chamber, breathing hard. His shoulder is going to ache tomorrow. His HP is sitting at 31%, lower than he'd like, higher than he feared. He used 2 Divine Step activations, burned through most of his mana on sustained Insight Eye, and took real damage from a floor 20 Guardian that made him earn every point of its HP. He wouldn't have it any other way. The milestone chest materializes in the center of the chamber. Floor 20 rewards are a significant tier above floor 10. The contents scale to match the difficulty jump. Su Ming opens it and runs Insight Eye across everything inside before touching any of it. The main reward is a platinum rank stat stone, a rare consumable that permanently boosts a chosen stat when used. The secondary rewards include a skill upgrade fragment applicable to movement techniques, which is directly relevant to Divine Step's cooldown issue, and a substantial coin payout that doubles what he earned from the floor 10 chest. He sits on the chamber floor for a moment. Just a moment. His shoulder hurts. His mana is almost gone. He just beat something that beat him before, and he did it with better stats and a better weapon and 2 weeks of accumulated progress, which is exactly how progress is supposed to work. He uses the stat stone on agility. The boost registers immediately, a clean numerical jump that pushes his movement ceiling into a new bracket. Divine Step's range increases proportionally. He notes the new numbers and starts calculating what Floor 35's Guardian class construct will look like against this updated profile. Easier. Noticeably, he pockets the skill upgrade fragment that's going into Divine Step's cooldown reduction, but not tonight. Tonight he walks out of the tower with the Floor 20 clear locked in, the leaderboard updated, and a very specific piece of information he's now confirmed. His current progression rate is ahead of schedule. In his past life, he reached this combat benchmark much later. The combination of past life memory, the All Things Ascend talent, Nahula's early development, and Zhang Yunqing's EXP buff has compressed his timeline significantly. The enemies who eventually became threats in his previous run are going to find a version of Su Ming who's already past this point when they show up. That suits him. He finds Leah back at the dormitory, still drilling. She's been at it for hours. The dormitory courtyard has light enough to work by, and she's used every minute of it. She looks up when he comes in, reads the HP percentage still showing on his status display, and raises an eyebrow. 31%, he confirms. Tower business. She nods and goes back to drilling. No fussing, no concerned questions. Good instincts about when information is complete. Ji Yao messages him that night. Her scout summon completed its first real field test. Stable, responsive, holding its patrol pattern correctly. She wants to run a dungeon coordination drill when he has time to test the new formation. He messages back a time slot for 2 days out. Then he lies down, closes his eyes, and runs through the full picture. Jiang Tang, financially penalized, bureau filings closed, arena loss on public record. Still out there, still holding a grudge, but his options have narrowed considerably. Direct confrontation failed. Institutional attack failed. Hired professionals failed. What's left is either escalation to a level that draws bureau attention onto him, or a long, slow burn that Su Ming will see coming well in advance. Li Chengguang, somewhere above floor 20 in the tower, nursing his leaderboard position and his memory of burning a diamond escape item to flee a 1-star hunter. He hasn't made another move yet. He will eventually. That type always does. Ren Xiaoman, off the board. The scar is permanent, and the message was clear. She's not approaching him again. Nahula, progressing ahead of her original timeline, well-funded, producing better gear at a faster rate than she ever did in the previous run. In 3 months, based on current trajectory, she'll be producing gold-tier weapons regularly. In 6, platinum. He's already thinking about what materials to bring her next. Ji Yao, alive, improving, trusted. The scout summon development is exactly the right move for her next phase. He's going to make sure she has every advantage she needs to not repeat what happened in the last life. Leah, 7 levels in a week. Talent is real. Give her a month, and she stops being someone he protects and starts being someone he deploys. The Tower Society floors between 20 and 100, a roadmap he remembers in detail. Floor 35's Guardian is next. After that, Floor 50's Milestone Reward, which in his past life was something he didn't reach until much later. He's going to reach it significantly ahead of that schedule. And beyond the tower, beyond the Mirage Zone's accessible sectors, the real content is waiting. C-rank zones, B-rank. The Guild War territories that open to hunters who hit certain floor milestones. The artifact network that his past life knowledge maps out in significant detail. Resource veins and hidden dungeons and legendary tier equipment that the general hunter population doesn't know exists. Su Ming knows it exists. He knows where it is. He knows what it takes to reach it. He's building toward all of it with a patience that looks like calm from the outside and is actually just very, very long-range planning from the inside. The dormitory is quiet. The golden sword display case is gone. Sold, converted, redirected into Nahula's forge. His blade is leaning against the wall beside the bed, platinum adjacent in quality, better than anything a 1-star sword controller should own. His stats are ahead of schedule. His allies are positioned correctly. His enemies are off balance. He closes his eyes. Godslayer's position on the tower leaderboard updates one final time as the floor 20 clear fully processes. The name sits at the top of the mid-tier rankings, ahead of names that belong to hunters with years of experience and star counts that should make this result impossible. Nobody knows who Godslayer is yet. Not really. They're going to find out,